I remember the exact moment my life changed forever. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the sky turns deep purple and stars begin to peek through. I was sitting in my small kitchen, hands folded, eyes closed in prayer, just like any other night. But this evening was different. This evening something amazing happened that changed everything I believed about prayer and protection. My name is Maria Santos. I'm 28 years old and I work at the local grocery store. I help customers find what they need, stock shelves, and count money at the register. I've always believed in God and tried to pray every day, but I never expected anything like what happened to me. It started with a feeling of peace, gentle at first, like when you finally sit down after a long day. Then it grew stronger, spreading through my whole body until I felt completely calm and safe. When I opened my eyes, my kitchen was gone. I stood in a bright, beautiful place filled with light that seemed to move and dance around me. There in front of me stood someone so bright and wonderful that I could barely look at him. I knew right away who he was. My heart started beating fast, and I almost fell down, but he reached out and helped me stay standing. "Maria," he said, and hearing my name in his voice was like hearing the most beautiful song ever written. "I have something important to show you." His voice was powerful but gentle, like thunder that doesn't scare you. I was shaking and couldn't speak at first. "Don't be afraid," he said softly, and somehow, just like that, I wasn't scared anymore. "I have chosen you for a special job. What I show you today, you must tell others about." He moved his hand, and suddenly we were somewhere else. We stood high up, looking down at many people going about their daily lives. Some people had a soft glow around them, while others walked in darkness, with scary shadow creatures following them or whispering in their ears. "What you see now is how the world really is," Jesus told me. "The real world and the spirit world, together. Those dark shadows are evil forces that try to hurt people, to make them sad, to pull them away from me and from their purpose." I watched in shock as the shadow creatures whispered bad things to people, put problems in their way, or just made them feel heavy and tired until they walked with their heads down. "But watch this," he said, pointing to a small house below us. Inside, a woman was on her knees praying. As she began to speak words I couldn't quite hear, something amazing happened. The words became bright golden light flowing from her mouth. As I looked closer, I could tell she was saying Psalm 91. "He who lives in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." With each word she spoke, the light around her got brighter, making a shield that grew bigger and bigger. The shadow creatures that had been hiding nearby screamed and ran away, unable to handle the bright light. I will say of the Lord, "He is my safe place and my strong tower, my God, in whom I trust." The words went up into the air, making a dome of protection over her whole house. Inside this dome, everything looked clearer and more real. Surely he will save you from the hunter's trap and from deadly sickness. As she kept praying, I saw powerful beings made of light appear around her home. They stood guard with swords of fire, protecting her from all harm. "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find safety." The woman's face showed the peace these words brought her. Whatever problems she had seemed lighter now, and she had a small smile, even though there were still tears on her face. "You will not fear what happens at night, or dangers that come during the day." Jesus turned to me then, his eyes full of love and purpose. This is the power of my words when people really believe them. Psalm 91 is like a shield, a strong wall, a way of saying you trust me. When my children pray these words each morning, they aren't just saying old words, they are asking for protection in the spirit world. He showed me more scenes, people of all ages in different kinds of homes, praying the same psalm. Every time I saw the same thing happen. Light growing bigger, shadows running away, angel warriors taking their places to guard and protect. 1,000 may fall beside you, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. My words have power that people don't understand, Jesus continued. When people really believe and speak them, they change things you can't see, but are still very real. This psalm tells truths that demons cannot fight against. That I am safety, strength, protection, that my promises are like a shield, that no evil can hurt those who stay close to me. I watched as a man said the psalm while driving to work. The words made a bubble of light around his car, and I saw accidents and traffic jams move out of his way. Not because he was better than other people, Jesus explained, but because his faith and obedience had turned on special promises. If you say, "The Lord is my safe place," and you make the most, your home, no harm will come to you, no trouble will come near your house. A mother prayed over her sleeping children, and I saw the words of the psalm become like a blanket of protection over their beds, keeping bad dreams and sickness away. A student said it before a big test, and his mind became clear and focused. An old man in a hospital bed whispered the words, and though his body still hurt, peace came over him like a warm hug. For he will tell his angels to watch over you and guard you wherever you go. Do you see, Maria? Jesus asked, his voice both gentle and urgent. This protection is available to everyone who believes. Not like magic words, but as a way of showing faith, of putting your heart and mind in the right place with spiritual truth. I nodded, amazed by what this all meant. There is a war going on that most people cannot see, he continued. My children walk through spiritual danger every day, targeted by forces that want to destroy, discourage, and stop them. But they don't have to be defenseless. My word is both weapon and shield. He showed me exactly what happens when someone prays Psalm 91 each morning. The words create a personal fortress that moves with them all day long. Angels are sent to guard their paths. Traps and dangers become visible in the spirit world so they can be avoided. Poison, both real and fake, loses its power. Fear cannot take hold. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not hurt your foot on a stone. This doesn't mean my children won't have problems, he explained, seeming to know what I was thinking, but it means they never have, to face them alone or without protection. The psalm reminds them I am there, declares my promises, and invites my protection. I watched as people who prayed the psalm faced the same hard things as others. Sickness, money problems, relationship, troubles, but with one big difference. They carried a light inside them that the problems couldn't put out. They had wisdom and strength beyond their own, and most importantly, they were never alone in their struggles. You will step on the lion and the snake. You will crush the great lion and the serpent. Jesus showed me how the Psalm's words about having power over evil forces worked in the spirit world. Those who prayed it walked with authority, and dark creatures scattered and ran away, unable to keep their hold. Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will save him. I will protect him because he knows my name. This is the key, Jesus explained. The protection comes because of relationship, not just saying words. Those who know me, who call on my name, who love me, these are the ones who experience all of these promises. I saw people calling out to God when they were in trouble and watched as heaven seemed to lean down toward them. Not always with quick answers, but always with presence. Never abandoned, never forgotten. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will save him and honor him. The words of the psalm, when prayed with real faith, seemed to create a direct phone line to heaven, making prayers more powerful and effective. Not because the words themselves were magic, but because they lined up the heart with truth and opened the eyes of the spirit to see God's faithfulness. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. As the vision continued, Jesus, explained that the last verses of the psalm weren't just about living a long time, but about living a full and meaningful life. Those who stayed close to God lived lives of purpose and impact no matter how many years they had, and experienced salvation in its complete sense, wholeness, healing, peace. Maria, Jesus said, turning to face me completely, this is why I've shown you these things. Tell everyone who will listen. Psalm 91 is not just beautiful words. It is spiritual armor, a declaration of truth that changes reality. When prayed with understanding and faith each morning, it creates protection that lasts all day long. He put his hands on my shoulders, and his touch sent waves of purpose through me. There are many people who struggle without knowing they don't have to, who live in fear or get hurt by attacks they could have stopped. Share this with them. Show them what I've shown you. But, I said, finally finding my voice, who will believe me? I'm just me, a grocery store worker, not a preacher or teacher. His smile was like watching the sun come up. That is exactly why I chose you. Your ordinary life will be the best proof of the amazing power of my word. Start with the people around you. Show them by your example. Pray the psalm faithfully each morning and let them see the difference in your life. The vision began to fade, the light growing dimmer around us, but his voice stayed clear. Remember, Maria, the power is not just in saying the words, but in the faith behind them. Teach them to pray with understanding, with strong belief, with relationship. This is not superstition, but supernatural reality. I will, I promised, meaning it with all my heart. I blinked, and I was back in my kitchen, still sitting at my small table. The evening light was coming through my window, and my clock showed I had been praying for almost an hour, though it felt like just minutes. My face was wet with tears I didn't remember crying. That was 4 months ago. Since then, I've been doing exactly what Jesus asked. I pray Psalm 91 every morning with new understanding of what these old words actually do in the spirit world, and I've been telling everyone who will listen. It started with my best friend Carmen. She had been struggling with panic attacks for years, and nothing seemed to help. Not doctors, not medicine, not even her faith, which had always been strong. When I told her about my vision, she wasn't sure what to think, but she was desperate enough to try anything. "What do I have to lose?" she said. A week later, she called me crying. "Maria, something's different. I can't explain it. It's like the heavy weight is just gone. I still get worried sometimes, but it's like there's a wall now between me and the panic. I can breathe again." Then there was my cousin Roberto, who had been fighting drug addiction for most of his grown-up life. In and out of treatment programs, never quite able to stay clean. He was the hardest to convince, his faith long gone. "Sure, Maria," he said, rolling his eyes. "Magic words, whatever you say." But he called me 2 weeks later. "I don't know if this is real or if I just want to believe it so bad," he admitted. "But I've been saying that psalm every morning. And yesterday, I walked right past my dealer's street corner and felt nothing. No pull, no wanting. It was like some invisible shield was between us." Word spread through my church, my workplace, my neighborhood. Not everyone believed, of course. Some smiled nicely and changed the subject. Others just dismissed it as emotional religious nonsense. But those who tried it, who prayed the psalm faithfully each morning, they came back with stories. A mother whose child's bad dreams stopped completely. A man whose business was saved from closing through a last-minute contract. A teenager who found the courage to stand up to bullies. A woman whose cancer tests came back clear after months of bad news. Not every story was dramatic. Sometimes it was just a new sense of peace, a clearer mind, a lighter heart, protection from accidents barely avoided, wisdom for decisions that proved smart later on. I started a small group that meets every week in my living room. We share stories, pray. Together, Encourage each other to keep praying even when results aren't immediate. Some days now 12 of us gather, ordinary people experiencing amazing protection. Last week, something happened that proved everything. I was working late shift at the store, walking to my car at 11 p.m. in the nearly empty parking lot. As I reached for my keys, I felt a strange feeling on the back of my neck. Looking up, I saw two men walking toward me from between parked cars, and I could tell by how they moved that they meant trouble. Fear shot through me for a second before a strange calm took over. I remembered the prayer I had spoken that morning. Really spoken, not just said without thinking. The words came back to me. 1,000 may fall beside you, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. As the men got closer, they suddenly stopped. Their eyes got wide, looking not at me, but just behind me. One backed away, pulling at his friend's sleeve. The other hesitated, then turned and ran. I stood frozen, keys in hand, as they disappeared around the corner of the parking lot. Only when I was safely in my car, with the doors locked, did I understand what had happened. They hadn't seen just me. They had seen what I couldn't see, the protection around me, maybe the very angels Jesus had shown me in my vision. I don't share this story to get attention or to claim I'm special. I share it because Jesus asked me to. Because there are people suffering who don't need to be, fighting battles without weapons they don't know they have. If you're listening to this, know that this protection is available to you too, not because of me or my experience, but because God's promises are for all His children. Psalm 91 is not magic. It's relationship, it's trust, it's putting yourself under God's protection and staying there. Try it for 1 month. Pray Psalm 91 every morning, not just reading the words, but understanding them, believing them, declaring them over your life. Watch what happens in your circumstances, in your heart, in your mind. Write down the changes, both big and small, and then share your story, just as I've shared mine. Because in a world full of darkness and struggles, we need to know that protection is possible, that we are not alone in the battle, that prayers don't just disappear into the air, but create changes in worlds we cannot see. The shield is real. The protection is available. The psalm works not as a magic formula, but as a declaration of faith. In the God who promised to be our safe place and strong tower, He's waiting to be that for you too. All you need to do is stay close to Him, rest in His shadow, and speak His truth into each new day. The spirit world is listening, and so is he who lives in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I